Hey, Doug, my man. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a privilege to be here and to meet
Beautiful.
you.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and thank you so very much for being here. And you see, Doug, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, I want to say thank you so very much, Doug, for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. They say some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, dog, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked
Oh,
past it and I went my way. But you see, dog, just recently, I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. I was so excited. Here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing dog that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request for me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insight, the impact your work is having, how you're offering your solutions. You see, these stuffs are beautiful. And just before I sent the request, Doug, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Doug is doing. And not only me now, but even with the audience. And here we had a day with the amazing Doug. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
it's a pleasure to be here. Nice to meet you.
Awesome, awesome. So let's get started. You see, I'm quite excited to have you on the show today, Doug, for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Doug, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge now, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Doug on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Doug, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got a lot of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, dog, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, dog, my man, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. We want to know how dog got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Doug, my man, over to you.
Hey, thank you, Elisha. Um, so I always thought if you looked up the word nerd in the dictionary, excuse me, you'd find a picture of me. Growing up, I was so nerdy and I liked math so much. Um, and I had a faith. I was brought up in a Christian church. And then but I always wanted to figure stuff out for myself. I've been a little stubborn in ways. And when I got to high school, Elisha, I read in a science book that maybe life started in some dirty pond billions of years ago. And it didn't make me feel good. And that actually is something that, even though that experiment's been totally discredited, it's in hundreds of high school science textbooks as maybe life started in a dirty pond. Um, and I fell away from faith. I became an atheist. And I went to a very good college for math and science in the United States called MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I studied theoretical math. I did well there. I had a good career as a lawyer. But I think this false sense that science is against God caused me to lose joy in my life because I felt it would be stupid to believe in God. I think a lot of people in our society feel that way. They feel there's something wrong with science and God, and they don't want to seem dumb. They don't want to seem ignorant. And so they push God aside. Now, it was when I was in my early 30s, my son was born, and my wife said, well, let's get the kid baptized. And me being a hardcore atheist, I just said, yes, dear. I mean, who needs that fight? I don't know if you're married, Elisha, but, you don't need a fight with the spouse. We got the kid baptized, and it was clear to me that those people just had a peace and a joy that I didn't have. Faith is beyond words and the joy it can bring to your life. So I told myself, well, you've got to look at this scientifically, Doug. And I started studying it. I've spent decades studying it. And what I find, Elisha, is wonder beyond description almost. Everywhere I look, science shows the existence of a creator and a designer. So I became a lawyer and I learned how to present arguments. So if it's okay with you, I want to give you right now my leading argument for the existence of God from science.
Sure, let's have it, my man.
All right. So it's the most important discovery in biology ever, certainly in the last 100 years. And that is that life runs on advanced digital code. Now, that may sound a little strange, but everybody, I think, has heard pretty much of something called DNA. Okay, DNA, we have DNA in our bodies. You know, the expression, it's in my DNA, sort of means I can't help it. I'm wired that way. Well, DNA is digital code. Now, digital code is what runs the technology that you and I are talking to each other right now. It runs every single computer, app, website, program. It was all designed by people, every computer code. But what we have found is that life has digital code inside. DNA is composed of different letters, okay? That there's 4 different letters. Life reads them 3 at a time. And the information for life is in this advanced digital code. A digital code just means something where there's different units. So writing is a digital code, okay? You got different letters, you got a space, you got different symbols. It's a code where different preset symbols, depending on their order, convey information. So I think either from the analogy of computers or from writing, everybody can understand the idea of a digital code. So they found in 1953 that life runs on digital code. And people didn't understand, I think, how they still don't understand today, our society, how transformative that is. So what happened was there was this study called the ENCODE project. 400 of the top scientists all around the world said, we got to find out what's in the human DNA, the human computer code. And by the way, there's a lot of computer code in us. We have about 3.2 billion letters of code in almost every one of our 30 trillion, with a T, cells, okay? 3.2 billion letters of code. If you imagine a very thick book with 2 columns on a page and thin paper, and then put 1,000 of them on top of each other, that's about 3.2 billion letters. So that's how much code there is all over our body. It's fantastic. These 400 scientists came out in 2011 and said, hey, this computer code looks fully functional. Every bit of it's working. We don't understand what it's doing, but it's working, man. It's cool. They also found that and this to me is just mind-blowing beyond belief. This computer code contains at least two different levels of information. Okay, so it's not just simple code. Somebody's designed this code so carefully that you can read it and get at least two layers of information out of it. And I'm not sure a good analogy for that, but I like music. I like classical music. Have you ever heard a Bach fugue where the music is flowing on top of each other in different ways? I mean, it's amazing technology to put two levels of information into code. Bill Gates, the Microsoft guy, one of the best coding people around, he said that the human DNA is like computer code, only it's far, far more advanced than anything human beings have ever built. Okay? The front page of the New York Times, a big newspaper in the United States, okay, had an article in 2011 when these results came out from 400 scientists worldwide, saying that the human body has 4 million switches in it to turn systems on and off. Okay, so now we've got very, very advanced computer code everywhere. And how did that happen by chance? Now let's go back to this silly dirty pond thing that's in a lot of high school textbooks. And I don't know about where you're located, but a lot of people have fallen for that nonsense. To have life, you not only have to have this incredible computer code, okay? You have to be able to transfer the information from one generation to another, right? That makes sense. You got to have the machines that can copy the code. And if you look at the machines of life that do that, they are unbelievable. And you also have to have all this stuff at the beginning, Elisha. You can't sort of get a little bit here and get a little bit there, because if you don't have everything right at the beginning, just set right, the machine can't reproduce itself. It's not life. You've got to have not only machines to read the code, machines to copy the code, but you've got to have machines to print out the parts. Have you ever heard of 3D printers? Okay, so yeah. They're amazing. They take computer code and they'll print out parts. And every life has in our bodies, we have trillions of 3D printers that take this DNA code, and the code tells our bodies when we need a new part, how to make the part, how to put the parts together. The parts are called proteins, by the way, and how to operate the parts. This is technology beyond anything human beings have ever had. So we now have the most incredible technology ever found inside our bodies. We have never found any technology that comes about by chance. So now let me go, if I may continue, with this nonsense that it's called natural selection. You've heard of Darwin. This is a theory that even though everybody knows there are high-level scientific conferences admitting Darwin's theory don't work, but you don't read about that in the newspaper because people think, well, we're going to find some answer. It has to work because they don't want to believe in God. So imagine now you've got these 1,000 books, okay, with all the computer code for a human being. And every generation, and this is scientific fact, when you copy the code from one generation to another, on average, there's about 100 mistakes. Okay, so think, and I've gone through this with top scientists at Harvard. And we think the number's about 100 per generation. Okay, it's like typos in a book. Okay, you see typos, a few of them, okay, no big deal. You still can figure out what the person was trying to tell you. But every generation, you get more and more typos. Now, Darwin's theory is you add these typos. And by the way, when he came up with his theory, he didn't know that life ran computer code or anything like that. But now we know it. So the modern theory of Darwin, called neo-Darwinism, if you like a big word, is that somehow these typos make the code better. I'm not making this up. This is the modern theory believed by these so-called geniuses, that atheists that teach at a lot of our college. How can the typos make the code better? We are not getting more advanced, my friend. The word evolve means change, and the word evolving means change over time. Okay. So everything's evolving in the sense of it's changing. Yeah. But here's the big news we get from science. It's down, not up. Human beings are not improving. We are degrading. All life is going downhill. As the Bible says, creation has been groaning since the beginning. And we could get into a lot of theological, philosophical reasons about that. But it seems to me, and this has now become my calling, is that science has found God. We search the heavens for messages from aliens, and people spend hundreds of millions of dollars building these radio telescopes thinking we're going to find ET out there or some alien on some planet communicating to us. But we look in our body and we find the most incredible code ever. If we found some code from space, we'd know there was something intelligent out there. We would know. Everybody realizes that. We can't find any. Maybe it's out there, who knows? But we look in our body, we see the most incredible code ever. And somehow we're in denial about that it was designed. We're in denial that we are all creatures of God and designed by God. I don't see how anyone who really looks at that clearly can deny that fact. So that's my number one thing, Elijah. Start you off.
Amazing. And you see, you just opened my eyes to a series of things I never knew before. And this perspective is nah. All of these things you shared can never occur by chance. I tell you. So there is this part I'm curious about. Okay. So why did you turn your book into a graphic novel?
That's a great question. So I wrote my first book, Counting to God. It only took me 10 years to write it because I was a busy attorney. And I worked with a lot of scientists on it and covered a lot of subjects, the laws of physics and so forth, that I won't get into here. But my minister said at my church, Doug, you got to make it simpler. You got to put in some pictures. So I wrote a book for teenagers, adolescents, called Proofs of God, which was a conversation between doubt and reason. And then at a conference where I was speaking, we came up with the idea of turning it into a graphic novel. And if anyone doesn't know what that is, it's not graphic doesn't mean it's a sex book. It just means graphic novel is like a cartoon book. Okay. It's got pictures. The story is illustrated. And we found this great illustrator on the West Coast of the United States. We're doing videos. We're creating videos off it, of the characters. And I think it's just wonderful. One of the reviews I got was from a mother who said that she's homeschooling kids and she has boys 11 and 8. And the 11-year-old, and it's a very science family, very faith-based, but science family. And the boy was starting to ask questions about science and faith. And she gave him a copy of my graphic novel. He read it sitting down from cover to cover right at the beginning. And he's been sleeping with it at night.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I want to, one of the reasons, I just feel when I was a kid, I was bullied by this nonsense that science is contrary to God. I was bullied. And and by the way, no professor has ever said you got stuff wrong in your books, Doug. Nobody has ever said that to me. What I think, I don't know if you ever heard of the technique of flanking maneuver in military terms. So a flanking maneuver is, okay, the armies are on the battlefield, and okay, you can hit them head on, but you can also go around and hit them from the side or the back. That's called a flanking maneuver. You get around behind them. So my book, my graphic novel, is a flanking maneuver against the blind people who are leading a lot of our colleges and institutions. And I am trying to reach kids before they get into this mindset of there can't be a God, that, smart people don't believe in God. That's nonsense. And I want to reach that audience, Elisha. And if you've got any suggestions to help me, God bless, help me, because that word's got to get out there to people.
I tell you, my man, and it's so beautiful what you're doing. So, to bring this to an end, Doug, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to make a purchase of your amazing book, or reach out to you, or even ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Sure. Thank you, Elisha. I have a website. It's the title of my first book, which is countingtogod.com. It's all one thing, countingtogod.com. The website has information about the 4 books I've written. I've written a novel. You can contact me off the website. I will speak for free to groups. And I also do an occasional blog where I point out some fantastic features of modern science. And I've just given you a taste here, Elisha, okay? There's a lot more. I need to rewrite my book. Everywhere I look, I see this stuff. And so I would direct people to my website, countingtogod.com.
Beautiful. So, any final thoughts?
Just that I think true peace and true joy can only be found in faith. There's no amount of money you can get. There's no amount of, professional degrees. I've done well financially. I've won lots of awards. That's all rubbish. At the end of the day, that's all rubbish. That's going down to the grave with you. Only faith is going to save you, and only faith is going to change your life.
Profound words. Only faith is going to save you, and only faith is going to change your life. I got that. So that's going to be the end of the show, my man. Thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing this beautiful stuff with us. It means a whole lot. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.